His Excellency, the Governor of Karnataka, Shri H.R. Bharadwaj, has served as Union Minister for Law and Justice, and he has fought for the cause of truth and justice, being a senior advocate of the bar. Recognizing his deep knowledge, striving strength, and commitment to the profession, he has called to the bench, but His Excellency declined the same. Though his non-induction to the bench is a loss to the judiciary, his appointment as governor has resulted as a boon to the legislature. ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರದ ಪರಮೋಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳು ಅವರನ್ನು ಆರಿಸಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಕೂಡ ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿಗಳ ಹುದ್ದೆಯನ್ನು ನಯವಾಗಿ ತಿರಸ್ಕರಿಸಿದಂಥವರು His Excellency the Governor of Karnataka ಶ್ರೀ H.R. ಭಾರದ್ವಾಜ್ ಅವರು. ರಾಜ್ಯಪಾಲರ ಹುದ್ದೆಯನ್ನು ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕಾರ್ಯಾಂಗದ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಡಿನ ಪುಣ್ಯ ವಿಶೇಷ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Ladies and gentlemen, I request His Excellency, the first citizen of Karnataka, Shri H.R. Bharadwaj, to render his speech with a big round of applause.
Dr. G. Parameshwar, President of Karnataka Pradesh Congress Committee, Shri D.K. Shivkumar, Chairman, K. Hanumanthaiah Memorial Trust, Dinesh Gundu Rao, Honorable Member, Legislative Assembly, Shri Krishnan Baregoda, Honorable Member, Legislative Assembly, Shri Y.S.V. Datta, Honorable Member of Legislative Council, Shri L. Srinivas, Member of BBMP, Shripad K. Hanumanthaiah, Shri Gurappa Naidu, Member KPCC, Mr. Govind Raju, Working President of the Trust, distinguished invitees, ladies and friends. For me, it is a great privilege to participate in the 103rd birthday anniversary of a very distinguished son of India, Shri K. Hanumanthaiah. Shri Hanumanthaiah was no ordinary politician. I had known him very intimately, both as the Chief Minister and as a Union Minister, and briefly Chairman of the Administrative Reforms Commission. His achievements in the Nehru era were remarkable. He was the tallest leader of this state amongst very, very big personalities. Hanumanthaiah distinguished himself by strong abilities as an administrator and as a disciplined person. I read his whole report on administrative reforms because in Rajiv Gandhi's cabinet I was drafting the Lokpal bill, and when I started reading administrative report of Hanumanthaiah, it has such a valuable work done by him. And what is happening today, he had provided answers to all the things that were likely to happen in future. He had a foresight and he suggested reforms. Had they been implemented, these present day maladies would not have occurred. So he will always be remembered for his contribution in the administrative reforms. As a matter of fact, the whole research starts from Administrative Reforms Commission report of Shri K. Hanumanthaiah. He was one of the rarest person in the administrative and judicial acumen. So that is the background. But you must remember that Hanumanthaiah was a product of history in the sense the ablest chief minister of those times. Ablest chief minister, and it was not like ordinary chief minister that we have nowadays in almost every state. He contributed independently in building this most modern and most powerful state. When you see your Vidhan soudha, you can immediately feel his vision of building the state. And he did it in his own time, this remarkable achievement. When I first visited Vidhan soudha for my meeting in the legal reforms, I found this is one of the most attractive and most appropriate building for an administrative setup of a state. He had everything in his mind to provide not only modern facilities, but proper administrative control over this civil service within the secretariat. So it was his vision. But you know, post-Nehru era, Congress became weak and there was a division in Congress. So many powerful leaders were swept away in the division. You know the Karnataka history very well. I have argued both cases. Sadak Ali case, first split of Congress, when President Nazalingappa fell apart from Mrs. Gandhi, although she had appointed him. But that itself is a history giving rise to a split group O and I Congress, all this. And later on, when the leftists joined Congress, so there was ideological difference between the congressman and the leftists. But that was the need of that time. And thereafter, my dear good friend Devraj Ars, he was very popular after Hanumanthaiah, was very popular, pro-poor, implementing social justice. Then suddenly Rajni Patel from Bombay, barrister, he was also my friend. He misguided him, and one lady, Nirmala Prasad, she was a civil service. She misguided Devraj Ars and he fell out with Mrs. Gandhi. Then it is Dinesh's father who took over the Jhanda tricolor, and Indira Gandhi and Gundurao combination brought Congress back here. This is a part of history which I have witnessed and participated. So, Karnataka is a very powerful state and very powerful people live here, very outstanding, knowledgeable people live here. Why should he suffer? Very powerful personalities. You are all inheritors of Hanumanthaiah legacy. We should never feel weak. Our founding fathers, Nehru, Patel, Maulana Azad, Ambedkar, all were great visionaries. They had dedicated their lives to build this great nation. And you just read the objective resolution which Nehru moved in Constituent Assembly. It gives a clear picture what India has to stand for and what we want to achieve. But you always know that vested interest. Nehru started fighting them from the day one in the Jamidari Abolition Laws Amendment. First amendment of the Constitution was for social justice. This 9th schedule of the Constitution was created for social justice. So that is still to be implemented. And Hanumanthaiah ji had given suggestions for poverty alleviation also. And it has been postponed after various sessions. And ultimately now we find there are two types of India. One is billionaires, millionaires and trillionaires. Space research, IT technology, agriculture technology, science, all this is here. This is the top state. Can you do this laxity or this kind of lethargy? At least on this day, the great men's day, we should dedicate ourselves to the service of the state and retrieve the principles of good governance, good administrations. There is no room to pass the buck. I knew once Hanumanthaiah ji had a tip with the chairman of the railway board. And within half a minute he showed him the door. And matter was reported to Indira Gandhi and he justified his stand. It is the minister who is in charge of the ministry, not the secretary. I was minister for 16 years. I knew how to take the work from the secretary. You must know your own job and you must dedicate to your own job. And they will do because they have to run the transaction of business rule, particularly and allocation of business rule. The president allocates the power to every minister. That is called the portfolio. And there are transaction of business rules. The secretary has to obey whatever the minister says. But this is not being done because people have become supine. They fall into the various traps. So Hanumanthaiah ji was a pathfinder for all these problems. And today, when we remember him, we should remember his principle, because all the older generation, they have slowly departed. We will also go. But this lineup of leaders will continue, and they should be worthy of their fathers, brothers, and sisters. This is all I can say. I have emulated his style of administration in my ministry. I had 4 secretaries under him. My orders were complied within 5 minutes. There was no room. If you want to discuss, discuss. But once I order, they must be obeyed. And took the whole responsibility on me. I have known how things are done properly, how they should be done properly. Because ultimately, it is the public confidence. If you enjoy public confidence, there is nothing wrong in what it is. There is parliament to answer. There is assembly to answer. So, you must remember this and go back to those points. I personally feel the trust should launch some institution, a big research center in the name of late Shri Hanumanthaiah, so that we can bring some good library on administrative reforms, removal of corruption, electoral reforms, all reforms. And I think we can do it in his birthplace or any appropriate place. We will all work in that direction. I personally express great appreciation for what the trust is doing and assure you my fullest cooperation. I am in a very difficult role these days. I need your cooperation and your help in keeping peace and harmony in Karnataka and solving the problems of the people so that we can again lead the state to that glory which it stood for. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.